Phil,
Is this a race?
I love the cameos that actors do in movies. I Married an Axe Murderer. The Alcatraz tour guide is a classic in my mind. How much reaction do you get from people for that small appearance?
I guess that is one of the more memorable screen appearances that I've foisted on the American public. It was a favor for a friend. Mike Myers wrote the part for me, and I felt obliged to do it. The dialogue was particularly colorful in that, and it was fun because that kind of character is one that was always in my repertoire in my improv days. The stiff, rigid-minded, military-like authority figure, kind of a persona that Dan Aykroyd has also rendered flawlessly. If I may compare myself to Dan, because I always say there are only two Dan Aykroyds, and I'm one of them. This is going so poorly.
Well, turning to your writing, I remember when Pee-wee's Big Adventure came out, I had started to doing movie reviews, and for some reason I did not really have a desire to see that movie because it looked kind of dumb on the surface. And I finally saw it when I heard everyone raving about it, and I just loved it. Was that a hard movie to pitch to people?
Well, the only reason that movie got made was because Paul Rubens worked diligently traveling around the country and performing his stand-up routine in front of sellout crowds, and eventually, after he'd done Carnegie Hall and a number of other venues, he proved to the studio that he had what it took, to draw an audience into a theater. I knew the guy was a genius because I'd worked with him for several years at the Groundlings. We did the Wee Herman show, which was a stage show that became an HBO special. And he invited me to join him in writing his first feature film, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And it was very much a turning point for me. It was my first big success, I would say, in its own way. It was just like getting Saturday Night Live or news radio. It was very special for me.
I had the great pleasure of interviewing James Earl Jones a few weeks ago.
Oh, another big Pee-wee fan? Yes. Well, many people enjoyed it.
And he told me it's amazing how many people approach him to record phone answering machine messages for him. Now, how often do you get that?
Oh, I do phone messages a lot. I think mostly I get requests for a character I do on The Simpsons, Troy McClure. And he's sort of a B-movie leading man. Hello, this is Troy McClure. You may know me from such motion pictures as Hitler Doesn't Live Here Anymore and Sorry, Wrong Closet. But tonight I'm answering Bob's telephone. He's not home right now, so please leave a message at the tone. I do that fairly regularly. And then celebrities, people, do Bill Clinton or Jack Nicholson. Bob's not here. He'd like to take your call, but he's out sticking needles in his eyes. Things like that.
Do you ever hear from people who don't like your impersonations? Because your Frank Sinatra is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But do you ever hear any feedback from old Blue Eyes?
Well, I think Frank exists in his own little world. He lives in an enclave in Rancho Mirage, or whatever they call that part of the desert. And I think he just sits there and looks at pictures of himself and sips cocktails. I met his daughters, and his daughter Tina said she told him, there's this guy who's impersonating you on Saturday Night Live, and he said, yeah, what are they saying now? And and she said, well, they did a thing called the Sinatra Group, and in it you say that Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet are a couple of brown noses, and the audience laughs, and he goes, well, that part's true. But I don't think he gets it, you know. I think it's difficult to have a sense of humor about yourself, or, you know, he's showing me like I'm some kind of mean jerk. What's that about? Get rid of him.
Well, turning to talk radio, your character has a bit of an ego. Do you find some people on the street think that you suffer from the same affliction?
Oh, sure, when I run them over with my big Mercedes. Well, you know, we're getting into dangerous territory here, because I base Bill McNeil on myself. And if he's a jerk and an idiot and a loudmouth, a braggart, and a bull artist, well then, who's to blame? Yeah, definitely there's a big ego there. I mean, everybody has an ego. You know, I went through a phase in my youth where I wanted to be a Buddha. And then I quickly realized that, no, it's some lower life form that I'm going to be in this incarnation. Maybe something closer to a Wolverine.
And one final question.
We're talking here.
Well, do radio stations ever approach you about filling in as a guest DJ or doing a guest spot?
I get approached by radio stations all the time, and of course, I have no interest because there's no money in it. That's the sad part about radio. Whew. Unless you're Howard Stern or you have a Casey Kasem's top 40 syndicated show. No, I do it strictly for the bucks now. In fact, I'm going to stop being funny right now because I don't see any cash on the table. Go ahead, ask me another question, and I'll be completely straight.
Okay. I think they're wrapping me. But
Huh? What the hell's going on? Oh, fine. We got the humor for free. Let him go.
Thank you very much.
Business is so unfair.
And this is Vic's